Hi, this is Joette with BalloonCoach.com. I am so glad that you have joined us to find some more tips out on how to grow your balloon business through sales calls. This evening, I'm very happy to have Katie with Beltway Balloons. She's outside of DC, and we actually met through Facebook, through one of the groups that a lot of people enjoy being a part of, Balloon Friends. So Katie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Joette.
Great. What we're going to talk about a little bit this evening is the way that I met Katie and really became interested in her business was about a month or so ago. Lisa Talent put up a post on Balloon Friends, and it was a column that she had done about McDonald's. And in her picture, she had suggested ways that people might want to show people how to celebrate the all-day breakfast event that was going to be starting off as a campaign in the McDonald's around the United States. And I had personally worked with a couple of people who were out approaching McDonald's and saying, hey, we want to do this for you, but we're not having any luck. They weren't getting the yeses. So when Katie put up her pictures, and I immediately asked her, are those photos just something that you were doing as a demo that you wanted to show McDonald's, or is that something you actually sold? And her answer was that she sold it. And I was really excited about how she went about the process, and I asked her if she would share that information with you. So there's a blog on BalloonCoach.com. If you type in Katie's name, or if you put in McDonald's or sales calls, it'll come up, and it'll give you some other details too after we go through this conversation. So Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been working with balloons?
So I've been working with balloons for just shy of 4 years. I've been full-time for just over a year. August 1st was my 1-year anniversary of being a full-time professional balloon artist.
Awesome. So when things came up with McDonald's, had you had a lot of experience going out and doing sales calls on a regular basis?
I had very little experience because sales calls are pretty much my least favorite thing to do ever. I would rather get a root canal than go out and make sales calls. I'm very much an email-based person, and I really prefer to send emails. However, that is not an effective sales strategy. So I decided this would be a really good opportunity to sort of polish my in-person sales skills.
Well, that's awesome, because that honestly is something I hear a lot from my coaching clients. They say, you know, Joette, we love the balloons that we make. We want to go out there and do it more, but we just don't always have the confidence to go out and present things to companies, or we're just not really sure what to say or do. So when you decided you were going to approach McDonald's, how did you prepare for those meetings?
So it was a multi-step process. First, I tried to identify the local franchises. I did a little bit of Google research and a little bit of Google stalking to see who I could find in my area and find out who the franchisors were. I started by calling marketing departments and asking if I could send the PDF copy of my flyer. After I did that, I hit the road. I decided that I was going to literally get on the highway and drive down, you know, pretty much to the next town and stop at every McDonald's along the way. I had some professional quality flyers printed up from Office Depot, cost me about $8, and I just got in the road and went. I put on my logoed business wear, so I had a nice sweater and nice pants, so I, you know, presented myself professionally, and made a plan and got on the highway and went.
That's awesome. One of the questions I'm going to throw out to the people who are listening to this on the call currently is, have you ever done that before? Have you ever gotten in your vehicle and just gone out and made a sales call? So just let me know in that questions box, yes or no, if you've ever done that before. And for those of you who are listening to this as a recording, I want you to think about that and write that down. Have you ever made sales calls before? Think about it in the past. You know, did you ever find a target market that you wanted to go for and went out and actually approached people, or did you shy away from it and then just stay at home and be behind the computer and the phone instead? So Katie, that's awesome that you took those steps. Having a professional flyer made up and printed out and having something colorful to show people, and just for an $8 investment, that's awesome. Very low overhead to have that made for you. So that's great. When you walked into the store, what did you do?
So it was really important for me to minimize the impact to the managers at the store. I know, when I'm trying to get work done and somebody interrupts me, it's really aggravating. So I really wanted to do a short and sweet pitch. So I walked into the store. I had a flyer with a business card paper clipped to it just to give everything a little bit of extra weight. I felt that would entice them to hang on to it a little bit longer. And I asked to speak to whomever the manager was, and I handed them a flyer and just said, hey, I'm Katie with Beltway Balloons. We're doing some promotions with some of the other restaurants in the area for all-day breakfasts. Here's a flyer. If you would kindly give it to your manager, I'd really appreciate it. Have a great day. Boom, short and sweet, done.
That's awesome. So when you walked in and gave them that flyer, did people want to talk to you much, or was it pretty much they took it and you went on your way?
They took it and I went on my way. I will say that at the beginning, people sort of had a puzzled look on their face, but once they saw the pictures, everybody really relaxed and smiled. I really wasn't sure if it was going to be effective or not. If they would say, yeah, okay, whatever, stick it in an inbox and never pass it along. But from the feedback that I got and from the jobs that I got, it seemed that they actually did pass it along.
That's awesome. So you went out to about how many stores, do you think?
I think I did 20. I had printed out 30 flyers, and I think I had 10 left.
Okay.
So I actually, in person, went to 20 stores.
That's amazing. Did you do that all in one day?
Oh yeah, it was fast. I mean, McDonald's are really close to each other, so there's like 5 just in the town where I live. So that was a quarter of it. It was pretty quick to do.
That's awesome. So out of those 20 stores, how many ended up buying from you?
9.
All right. That is amazing. Almost half of the stores that you went to bought from you. That's amazing.
Correct.
That's amazing. And it only spent a day out on the road to do that. I think a lot of times people
Not
have
even.
Go ahead, not even a full day?
No, it was maybe 3 hours. I mean, the time investment was so minimal and the return so great. In this particular case, it's certainly not always that way.
Right. I think that's amazing. One of the things we were talking, what made you the most comfortable about approaching McDonald's when you decided to do this?
So because I am terrified of sales, or at least I should say I was, not anymore, but I was terrified of doing sales, and I felt that McDonald's was sort of the least threatening entity that I could approach. If I didn't hear from anybody, I could just chalk it up to, oh, I got lost in the fray. McDonald's is a giant corporation worldwide, and I wasn't going to lose any sleep over it. So it made it much less intimidating for me because it is such an enormous corporation, but it ended up working out to my benefit anyhow.
That's awesome. I love that you had that attitude, that you weren't worried about if you were going to have a no, because they're huge, and it's kind of that scary thought of, okay, there's this big corporation that I'm going in to talk to, and if they say no, well, it's okay. So you went prepared, you went dressed professionally, and you had a plan in mind. I think all of those are amazing tactics, and that's why you had such wonderful results with this, is because you went in with a set plan and you knew what you were doing and what your goal was in mind. The other thing that I really liked that you talked about was the fact that you didn't want to waste their time, that you were very short and sweet. Sometimes I think in the balloon industry, we all have such a passion for balloons and what we're doing that we almost go overboard in talking with people. Rather than just going in, presenting a very brief synopsis and asking for the sale, we get carried away with just adding way too much information. So I love the way that you approached them, and it worked really well for you.
It did, and I tried to limit the choices on my flyer for that very reason, because we all get really excited, and we know what we can do, and we know that we can put 42-inch tapers together and make the most amazing thing to hang on the ceiling, but people don't need to know that. And in certain cases certainly they do, but for this particular thing, it was short and sweet. Here's, 5 or 6 things that I can do for you in your colors, to really give people a sense of it. And boom, that's it. No pressure. I'm not trying to close a sale. I just want to start this relationship.
That was awesome. We've got a couple questions that came in that I think this is an appropriate time to ask you. One of them from Wendy was she wanted to know, when you went to McDonald's, did you make the breakfast balloon arrangement ahead of time to have those pictures on your flyer, or how did you have that all set up?
I actually used Lisa's picture from Balloon Friends. So the actual, the column that I used was hers. Everything else that was on my flyer, I just pulled things that were in McDonald's colors that were things I was trying to sell. So I pulled some ceiling deco pictures, and I pulled, a picture of an arch in red and white. So because I have a decent portfolio, I was able to pull some pictures out and use those. But I also do a lot of things in Microsoft Publisher, so I could have just done like a really quick mock-up and done it that way. But I do think it's really important to have a visual aid of some kind. And, even if it's somebody else's work, if you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm going to build some marketing material, would you mind if I use this picture and give the appropriate credit or whatever? But it's really helpful for people to see that.
That's great. And that's a wonderful tip, because what I think a lot of people don't realize is that in our industry, when people post photos, those belong to that person. And in this case, Lisa was very open with, hey, take this photo and run with it. We want you to go out there and sell those items. So you do want to make sure that if you're making something that's printed that then has your logo and stuff on it, that you make sure that you have permission from that other person. What I think is wonderful is on the blog, you'll see pictures that are the actual photos from the restaurants after you did the setup. And it's just neat to be able to see that in the different settings within the store. One of the other questions that came up was, were you nervous when you went in to talk to the McDonald's?
Terrified, like palm sweating, sitting. When I got to the first store, I probably sat in my van for 15 minutes thinking, oh God, like I don't want to do this, and then I just pulled myself up by my bootstraps and said, hey, you got to do this. Like, you're all the way out here, you have everything you need, you look good, you have a good product, just do it. And so after I did the first one, ice was broken, and by the time I got to, the 6th or 7th, it was a no-brainer. I was walking in there like I owned the place, because, just having those experiences, particularly so close together, really just gave me the confidence to keep going. Nobody kicked me out. Nobody chased me out with a pitchfork. Everybody was, pretty happy to see bright, happy pictures of balloons.
That's wonderful. When the other question is a lot of times at the flip side of it, at the end, when McDonald's was paying you, did it take quite a while for that payment to go through, since it was, through McDonald's and through a corporation, or were they pretty good at payment?
I was paid, so I ended up working for 2 different franchises, all told. I did 4 for one and 5 for another. And the 4, I think she paid me the same day. It might have been the day before. And the other one, as soon as she signed the contract, she paid me, because I use Manager Sal, so it goes, there's a PayPal link for the invoice right then and there. So I was paid in full before I did any work, which was really nice. And I do a lot of corporate work. That is certainly not the norm. But in this case, it really worked out to my benefit. I was paid.
That's awesome. Katie, thank you so much for sharing your experience with McDonald's and doing the cold call. There's so many out there that right now I'm seeing my screen light up with, man, my hands would be sweating, I'd be nervous. That's like the biggest problem that they have, is that when they are getting ready to go approach somebody, that they end up talking themselves out of going there. So,
well, let me just say that as somebody who has been terrified and who literally had hands sweating, the way that I have moved forward from that is this. And it still gives me a little bit of chest pain to have to do this, just because I don't like to do it. But it gets so much easier the more you do it. And frankly, going in there, they've basically already said no anyway. They're not your client before you go in there. You have no order from them. So, for them to say no is not a big deal, because you didn't have them to begin with. Now, when they say yes, then hey, you're moving on up. But just to walk in there, it's not a big deal, and it's not personal if they do say no. It's just business.
That's awesome. And that's such a key component. This is not a personal thing if they say no. In some cases, it might be that they don't have the budget. In other cases, it may be that they have restrictions that they're not allowed to buy from outside vendors and outside companies. So I think it was wonderful that you did your homework ahead of time to be able to decide which McDonald's you were going to go visit. You had your plan in place and you were good to go. And even though you were nervous, and even though this wasn't the thing that you're the best at in the past, you went ahead and just took that step and moved forward. And that is so key in growing your business. You're home-based, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So for all of those out there that are home-based, and when you're online, you're seeing people who have storefronts and warehouses and crews. Understand, Katie is on her own. She's in her house, and she saw something on Facebook, and she decided to take action and to make something happen with her business, and then that created income for her. So to recap a couple of the steps that you want to do to be able to have the same type of successes that she had and step out of that fear that they're going to say no, because they might actually say yes, is you want to figure out who your target is. You want to make some type of brochure or pretty material that you can hand somebody when you're meeting with them. Have your professional business card. And then have a plan in place of how much something's going to cost, what you're charging them for this, because the last thing you want to do is go in and have them say, wow, we love this, and how much is it? And then you go, oops, forgot that part. You want to be prepared and ready to answer those questions and know in your head that these people are going to say yes. If you go in with that mindset of it's okay if they say no, but they're going to say yes. I want them to be my new clients, and I have a great opportunity for them to do something cool for their restaurant or something cool for their office. Have that mindset that they're going to say yes, and just put it out there. One other question I had for you, Katie, is now that you've done this, what are your new goals with doing sales calls?
So I have become a maniac now because I had this success, and I have set the goal of 10 cold calls a week. And it's not necessarily, I don't have to leave my house 10 separate times, but I have set that personal goal for myself, and so far I've been able to maintain it. I've put marketing material into my van, so I have a couple of different flyers that I use, so that if I'm at a job and there's a close business, that I'm already in my work gear, I'm already dressed professionally because I've been at a job, I'm wearing at least a polo, if not something a little nicer. And then I can go in, quickly introduce myself, and hey, I just did the balloons next door, and here's a little bit of information. Let us know if we can ever be of any help to you. So it's really important for me to have those numbers in place, because then it forces me, okay, I've done 8 this week, I need to do 2 more, let me go into these car dealerships real quick. Or to sit behind my computer and say, you know what, there's that gas station opening down the street, let me call their corporate office and see if they're going to do anything for the grand opening.
That's awesome. By setting those goals, it's really key for you to keep track of it and be accountable to yourself and be able to know that that's what you're wanting to do. And if you're needing an accountability partner, that's what coaching is all about. Ballooncoach.com, a lot of people have been asking me, what is it that you're actually doing, Joette? Why are you putting out these webinars? Why are you giving information to our industry? And the number one thing is that I want our industry to grow, and I want you to take your business to the new heights. Whatever your goal is, if right now you're making $100 a week and you want to be able to make $200 a week, if right now you're not making anything and you want to make $50 a week, if it's that you want to increase your sales by $1,000, whatever your goal is, I want to help you reach that. And if you're a person that just needs some extra help, some accountability, somebody to give you suggestions of things that you can do, we have a group coaching program where we meet twice a month and we talk live, similar to a webinar, except we see each other's faces and we can hear each other talking. and we communicate with each other to help each other out and give tips. So just like Katie shared her tips with us tonight, we would share that with our group. Then we have a private discussion group that allows us to go online and pose questions or situations that we're going through. We also offer one-to-one and elite coaching. And with those packages, it's for those people who really need help making a marketing strategy, developing a business plan, set up networking skills, and just for me to be a lifeline for you to help you when you're in these situations of, hey, Joette, I'm trying to make a brochure, but I don't know what files to use or how to set it up or what words to put in. That's something that I can help you with. So I just want you guys to be aware that the coaching opportunities are out there if you need that extra support and help to get you to the next level. The other thing that we're offering is business webinars. In our industry, we have such amazing hands-on classes that allow you to learn how to build an arch, build a column, make the most decorative, beautiful, double stuffed face you could ever make. But the one piece that's gotten left out, it seems, is how do I make money? How do I price myself correctly? How do I put systems in place to go out and do cold calls and phone calls? So what I'm doing is each month I'm bringing somebody from the industry who's been successful and grown their business. I'm so excited that on October 20th, Balloons by Tommy, the wonderful dynamic duo of Tommy DeLorenzo and Scott, are going to be on the call, on the webinar, and they're going to share how they have doubled their profits in the last year by making half the phone calls. A lot of times people feel like they're spending all their life on the phone. They have a system they've put in where they've cut down their phone calls to be able to be more productive and profitable. So I'm excited that they're going to be sharing that. Go on to ballooncoach.com under web classes. It's just $25. And the great thing with the webinars, that all of our paid webinars, is you go on and either can be there live, or as long as you pay in advance by the deadline when registration cuts off on October 15th, pay your $25 and you will then have access on the private side of Balloon Coach to be able to access his information and listen over and over again to that hour-and-a-half class. So I hope that you'll join us for that. For now, what we're going to do is wrap up with one last question from Katie, and that is, how do you think you kept from being scared when you were walking in to McDonald's?
Just by sort of, reminding myself that if they say no, it's no big deal. They're not my client to begin with, so I've got literally nothing to lose. And it's McDonald's. So what if it goes into the trash can or something like that? I can just chalk it up to that. But it's not me. It's not them saying, Katie, we don't like you and we don't like your balloons. It's business. So it just sort of, it's already a no. Now I can maybe change it to a yes, and wouldn't that be cool? That's it.
That is awesome. So it's always going to be a no if you don't ask for the sale. So to have more yeses and to have your client list build, the way you're going to make them yeses is to get out of your comfort zone, make a plan, and go out, pick up the phone, go out in person, meet new people, because people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And often if you go out there and meet people face to face, you're going to be able to make some of those personal connections to get those yeses. So Katie, thank you again for giving us the wonderful information this evening of how you got those yeses, how you won over those 9 accounts at McDonald's, and I wish you much success in the future. For those of you who want more information, go to Balloon Coach Facebook page. We'll put a couple of extra details in and have some extra conversation of other questions that you may have after seeing this class. Thank you to all who are supporting BalloonCoach.com. It was great to have you here, and I look forward to hearing about how your business continues to grow to new heights.